Uh, Good morning, everyone. Today's session will be taken by IP Bhatia, sir. Sir is about to join in another 1-2 minutes. Uh, Certain instructions. Kindly, all of you, keep your audio in mute unless you have to ask something. So, if you want to ask something, you can drop a message in chat. So, sir will see to it and he will respond. Second thing, please keep your video also closed so that you can hear properly and there is no disturbance. Sir has joined. So let me give a small introduction about Sir. So he has served in 34 years in BSF and he has retired as a Deputy Inspector General from Special DG Headquarters, Chandigarh. He has attended several management skill set programs at IIM Indus and MDI Gurgaon. Recently, in 2016, after the Pathankot attack, he was awarded the President's Police Medal for his service. Sir has joined. Sir, now the table is yours.
Good morning, dear aspirants. A brief introduction about myself. I'm IP Bhatia. I have recently retired from BSF as Deputy Inspector General. So, the topics of discussion that has been given to me are based on basically the internal security. So, we'll be touching various topics for discussion in the different sessions. But the topic which I have selected is basically the basic topic. That is, what is internal security? What are the challenges? How can we measure up to these challenges? And what are the forces, security forces, besides the police, are available to us for countering this challenge? So, as you know, India is a vast country. It is surrounded by adversary countries also. By adversary country, I mean to say Pakistan and China. And Nepal, which is not so friendly as on date. Then we have Bhutan border with us. And we have a long coastal line. Maritime security also comes into the picture. So, touching upon the various aspects of internal security, first of all, we would like to know what is the difference between internal security and the external security. The basic difference between the internal security is that we have to maintain the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the country from the anti-national forces which are operating in our country. Internal security is basically the responsibility of police as well as central armed police forces which come under the Ministry of Home Affairs. Whereas external security is when there is external threat from the adversary country, there is enemy in front of us. It may be Pakistan, it may be China. And when a foreign country comes into the picture, then our armed forces, that is Army, Air Force, and Navy, come into play. And these armed forces come under the purview of Ministry of Defense. So, after having understood the difference between internal security and external security, we would like to know what are the important aspects of internal security. Basically, in internal security, we have to uphold the rules and laws made by the authority. We have to accept sovereign power of the people, and we have to protect national sovereignty. We have to secure the territorial integrity of India, and whatever action as a country we are doing, it must promote our rightful place in international affairs. Then we have to ensure a peaceful internal environment, and we have to make our society just, equitable, prosperous, and they should be made sufficient enough to live in harmony, and they should be away from the risk of life, and they should be prepared to make their two ends meet. So, police and central armed police forces are the forces available under the Ministry of Home Affairs, which deal with the internal disturbances. Why we are interested to control the internal disturbances? Because besides law and order, and beside threat to the danger of society, it causes a loss to the economy of the country. And if there are a lot of disturbances in any country, definitely no country would like to invest in that country. So therefore, besides the law and order problems, we have economic reasons also for maintaining internal security, making society free from the disturbances, and let the people of the country live in peace and harmony. Importance of external and internal security is that we have to maintain law and order. We have to secure the threats such as terrorism, Naxalism, communalism. We have to maintain the domestic peace, and we need the economic and sustainable development of the nation. Now we'll like to understand how internal security can be classified from the point of view of threats. What are the threats before us? It may be external, like terrorism, then insurgency. Insurgency can happen in any part of the country, and it is generally aided by the foreign countries. Internal problem like Naxalism, communal activities, riots, these are the internal problems. Then externally aided internal. Externally aided internal means the agencies which are like Jaish-e-Mohammed or Tehreek-e-Resistance Force, they get sufficient training and funds from the foreign country, and they play havoc in our parts of the country in reference to the Kashmir I am talking about. Why problems occur in our society, in our country? What are the reasons that there are problems like law and order, like terrorism, like Naxalite problems, or for that matter, insurgency also? Let us understand the factors which are responsible for causing these internal disturbances. Number one is the unemployment in the country. Youth of the country can be subverted. By subversion, I mean to say that their mind, their thought process can be changed. Unequal penetration of the growth. Growth in our country is unequal. You must have been reading newspapers these days, and you must be finding that high net worth individuals are getting out of this country with their money, bag and baggage, and they are finding secure places in foreign countries. Those people who have sufficient money with them, they can invest their money in the foreign country and can buy citizenship of that country, and they want to exit from this country. Similarly, you must have read in the newspapers that only 1% of the people in this country are really rich. Rest of the population in this country is not that rich. So there is wide gap between the rich and poor. So this gap is due to the shrinking resources, and it really is a cause for disgruntlement in the society. Then there is communal divide. Communal divide is basically caused by the politicians, and today's political life has also become competitive. Therefore, there are communal violence and riots. Then we have got interstate disputes. By interstate disputes, I am referring to dispute over the natural resources like water, which can lead to the violent protest. Then there are separatist tendencies. By separatist tendencies, I mean to say Northeast, like Ulfa, Nagaland, and Jammu and Kashmir. They want to destabilize the national security of the country. Political use of ethnic, religious, and sectoral identity. It is also one of the main cause of problems which lead to internal security. Poverty, we have already referred to. And then the unfriendly neighbors. Unfriendly neighbor means Pakistan is unfriendly to you, China is unfriendly. Then Bhutan, they have devised their own ways and means. Earlier, Bhutan was also a good friend. They used to depend upon your books. They had your curriculum. The education pattern of India and Bhutan was same. But with the passage of time, they have now changed the NCRT books and they have developed their own system. Similarly, after the issue of Doklam, Bhutan has gone more towards China and it has lesser interest with the India because of the strategic reasons. Similarly, the employment opportunities which we used to get in Bhutan by construction of roads and in other defense initiative, that is also getting very less with the passage of time. So it is also an important reason that we are surrounded by unfriendly country. Then we have got porous border. By porous border, I mean to say the border of Nepal, border of Bhutan is completely porous. Border along with the Pakistan is secure to a great extent. Similarly, border with the Bangladesh is at some places porous. Of course, we have tried to put up the fence. We have tried to cover each gap, nalas, streams, but yet there are certain weak links which can be exploited by the infiltrator. Border with the Myanmar is also porous, and there is smuggling of arms, ammunition, and drugs. Another cause of disgruntlement in the society is the corruption. Corruption is prevalent in all parts of life. It may be police, judiciary, other agencies which are maintaining the law and order. It leads to internal security problems. Then the poor criminal justice system. By poor criminal justice system, I mean to say that it takes a longer time for us to bring the culprits to conviction. There are many delays. As a result of it, justice is delayed. As is quoted, justice delayed is justice denied. So our criminal system is justice system is also poor. Now we'll be dealing briefly with the challenges to the internal security of the country. As you know, that left-wing extremism is one of the challenge. Insurgency in Northeast and Jammu and Kashmir is also a challenge. Use of diversity for dividing nation. Cybercrime is one of the problem. Use of social media, fake news is problem. Money laundering, black money is again a problem. Then we have got the non-state actors. By non-state actors, I mean to say Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Tauba, and other agents which affect the internal security of the country. When we have discussions with the counterpart, by counterpart I mean to say commanders of Pakistan Army or Pak Rangers, they always deny that we have not indulged in any kind of nefarious activity. These activities are done by non-state actors. So by non-state actors, I mean to say that Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Tauba, and other terrorist organizations which do not have got any political affiliation to any country. They are getting the finances and they want to destabilize the country of a bordering area. Then we have got the organized nexus crime. Organized nexus crime, I mean to say drugs, arms, hawala trading, gambling. These are the root causes of terrorism and violence. Then we have got the border and the coastal security. As we have discussed, our coastal line is also very big. Recently, we could make chief of the one of the admiral of the Navy, Arun Kumar, as National Maritime Defense Coordinator. This position we have given after 14 years, after the 2000 attack of Mumbai. So maritime security is a subject which we'll be dealing separately, but basically it is covered by the Navy, Indian Coastal Guard, and water wing of the Border Security Force, as well as Coastal Police Station. But there was no coordination among the various agencies. Now we have got Arun Kumar as Admiral, who has been made NDMC, and he'll be working under the NSA. He'll be advisor to the NSA on coastal matter. So we'll be able to meet this challenge effectively. Governance and infrastructure problem. Interstate policing is also a problem. Then issues with the intelligence agencies. We have got IB, raw, military intelligence. Then we have got intelligence of border security force also, G setup. Then we have got the intelligence of CBI also. But all these intelligence agencies are always in one-upmanship, and their coordination is a bit difficult. So therefore, timely action taken on the actionable intelligence is also a great challenge. Now we'll deal with the subject related portion, that is what measures we have taken to strengthen our internal security, how we are securing our internal security. So in this connection, I would like to talk to you that first of all, there is a requirement of curbing communal and hatred propaganda, and we need to bring stringent laws against it. Then we need to curb the black money. Of course, after the demonetization activity, lot of black money has been curbed, but still there are much to be done. Targeted approach for poverty reduction. And then we have to bring the police reforms. By police reforms, I would like to refer to the police reform public interest litigation, which was filed by Shri Prakash Singh, IPS, in 1996 in the Supreme Court. So after 10 years, Supreme Court gave a judgment on it. So we would like to know what were the basic points that were covered in this public interest litigation and how far we have measured up to the directions of the Supreme Court. In this petition, Prakash Singh had referred to the interference in the police posting. He had referred that the tenure of the Director General must be of 2 to 3 years. It should be fixed. Director Generals of the police should not be rotated on the whims and fancies of the political authorities. There is a requirement of making police establishment board. By police establishment board, he mean to say that the posting and transfers of the police personnel ranging from constable to inspector general and additional director general should be done by the police establishment board. That is, this board should comprise of the police officers and bureaucrats, and they should decide upon the postings and transfers of the police personnel. He also referred to the matter that we should have a state police complaint authority. It should be controlled by a retired judge. By state police complaint authority, he meant that we should have some platform for the common public so that if they have grievances against the police personnel for not doing their job effectively, entering into the nepotism, or are asking for the greasing of the palms, hefty money they are demanding for doing the job, and people of the state are disgruntled. Therefore, they must lodge a complaint, and this complaint must be thoroughly investigated by the retired judge. Similarly, he also said that now police is heavily burdened for the work, and basically this police structure is following on the lines of the British police structure. There have been no changes. Of course, there have been modernization, but now police needs two wings. That is investigation wing and law and order wing. So police personnel should be separated from their normal duties, and those persons who have got the skills for the investigation, they should be called for and deputed in the investigation wing, and they should carry out the investigation. Whereas a separate police force should be made available for law and order duties, which are generally known to all of you. So currently what is happening? Currently, if you go to any of the police station, you will find that there is less number of manpower. Number two, most of the manpower is available, is generally out on the general duties of the city or the rural area. And thirdly, same sub-inspector or ASI has to perform the investigation also. So now they are heavily burdened with this job and they cannot carry out their job effectively. Then he asked for the State Security Commission. State Security Commission should be appointed. This should be headed by the Chief Minister of the state, and its members should be drawn from the civil society. And at the national level, he demanded that National Security Commission should be made so that these reforms can bring ultimately police reforms. What has happened till date? Till date, this judgment came in 2006, and till date, not much has been executed on the ground. I would like to refer the case of Punjab. Recently, you must have found that there was tussle in the Congress, internal tussle, internal problem. And as a result of it, you must have seen that 3-4 Director General had to be shifted because they were not according to the liking of the political authority. So 3 Director Generals were shifted in a period of 2-3 months. So if this kind of leadership is to be provided to the lower ranks, probably things will not work in the right direction. So next is the next reason. We'll come to the next reason now, that reform in the criminal justice system. Next reason, he says that we should have reform in our criminal justice system if we have to bring down the challenges of the internal security. In this case, Justice Malimat committee has submitted the report. I would like to refer some of the points of Justice Malimat committee. Justice Malimat committee was basically headed by Chief Justice of Karnataka and Kerala High Court in 2000, and it came out with certain suggestions which are basically similar to the police reform suggestion given by Prakash Singh IPS. So in this, he says that police and courts both need reforms. Justice Malimat is of the opinion that there should not be only reforms in the police. There are reforms required in the courts also. Because police and courts both protect rights and personal liberty of the individual. Therefore, there is a requirement of making reforms in the police as well as courts. There is a requirement of imposition of penalties in violation of law. So we must come up to the requirement of the police as well as the courts. So currently what is happening? Currently, charge sheet against the accused is to be filed in 90 days and they must be produced in a court of law. Justice Malimat asked that the time period is insufficient. It should be doubled. Then it should be given 180 days so that sufficient time for investigation is available, because charge sheet is a document on the basis of which we can prove the culprit accused as guilty or not guilty by having sufficient evidence with the investigators. Then police can take the accused for remand on 15 days. This time should be doubled to 30 days. He also demanded that we should have a program for witness protection. By witness protection, I mean to say that those persons who will be giving witnesses against the accused for bringing him to conviction, they should be protected. Otherwise, what is happening in our society? They are either induced, they are motivated, or they are threatened, or their statements are being doctored. So therefore, unless we provide sufficient security to the witness will not come out openly in the court. He also suggested that there is a requirement of separating the police into 2 wings. which we have earlier discussed, that is investigation wing and law and order wing. Then he suggested that we should have a special officer of additional SP rank for collection, collation of criminal data and its dissemination to all the essential police stations, not only in his own district, but also in the districts of the state. And based on this data can be shared with the National Informatic Crime Record System. He also suggested that Justice Malimat, I mean to say, that police establishment board should be established, which we have already discussed. That is, there is a requirement of police postings, promotion, postings, retirement, their grievances. This should be dealt by police officers as well as bureaucrats. Politicians should not come into the pictures. So these were some of the suggestions in the criminal justice system headed by Justice Malimat Committee. So now next point is that we need more power of investigation, legislation for CBI. He suggests, and then we require modernization of the Central Armed Police Force. By modernization, I mean to say their training, their infrastructure, and their evaluation and response mechanism. These are all the points which we should think of. Then border management in itself is a big subject. Use of smart fencing, infrastructure development of roads, digital communication, optical fibers, etc. So then we should have national cyber security policy. So these are some of the measures which we need to take in order to minimize problems for the internal security. So we have sufficiently discussed about the problems. Now we would like to discuss how much Government of India has come out with the effective measures so that these problems can be addressed and some of the problems can be nipped in the bud also. Modernization of police. Government of India is really interested in modernization of police. States of Assam, that is state of Punjab, Jammu Kashmir, you must be saying, these police have modernized to a great extent. These police have got their own commandos for dealing with the terrorists as well as militants. Similarly, in Andhra, we have got greyhounds for dealing with the Naxalites, and they have been very effective. So next is that we should have the initiative of Samdhan. Samdhan initiative should be available before the country to deal with the problems of the internal security. By Samdhan means, I mean to say, S stands for smart leadership, A for aggressive strategies, M for motivation and training, actionable intelligence, and dashboard, KPI and KRS. By dashboard, KPI and KRA, I mean to say key performance indicators and key performance result areas. Action plan for each theatre and no access to finance. We should cut off their finances as it happened in Kashmir after the abrogation of Article 370, when we made Ladakh a territory, and Jammu and Kashmir was separated from Ladakh area. We were able to control the finances which were coming to the Hurriyat. Then next programs which we do in the border areas are very, that is a civic action program. What is civic action program? Civic action program, by civic action program, I mean to say winning the hearts and minds of the local population. WIMS, this is in short known as WIMS, WHIM, winning hearts and minds of the local population. We organize medical camps, we take up their classes, we provide them the skills so that the population of the border area do have close association with security forces, as well as they have got sympathetic attitude towards the country. Then we need to have national intelligence grid. It has started functioning. This national intelligence grid gathers the data from all the police as well as security forces, and it is basically to counter the terrorist problems. After having dealt with basics of internal security, that is, what is internal security and external security, what are the important aspects of internal security, that is police and CRPF, why do we need internal security, what are the challenges for internal security, what are the government initiatives and various measures we have taken so far. Now we would like to discuss, after all, what are the forces available in country who come up to meet these challenges. So I have divided my talk, first of all, in 3 phases. Number 1, we'll be dealing with the CRPFs. By CRPF, I mean to say Central Armed Police Forces. That is CRPF, BSF, ITBP, SSB, CSF. Then we have paramilitary forces. Number 1, Assam Rifle. Number 2, Indian Coastal Guard. Number 3, Special Forces. Besides Central Armed Police Forces and paramilitary forces, we have other forces which are working, that is NSG, SPG, and RPF. They work under the Ministry of Home Affairs. And then we have got the Rashtriya Rifles, specifically in reference to Kashmir. Rashtriya Rifle is also deployed. So now we'll be discussing all these forces threadbare so that you have sufficient idea of knowing that what is the mandate of each force and basically what is the organizational strength or what are the rank structures of these forces. So first of all, we are now fetching Central Armed Police Forces. CRPF is one of the largest Indian Central Armed Police Force. It comes under Ministry of Home Affairs and it was raised on 27th July 1939. When it was raised, then it was known as Crown's Representative Police. Crown Representative Police. After independence, it was enacted as Central Reserve Police Force on 28 December 1949. CRPF also takes part in the United Nations peacekeeping missions, and it provides wide ranging of security duties. Basically, it is trained to deal with the crowd control, riot control, counter-militancy insurgency operation, dealing with the left-wing extremism, overall coordination of large security arrangement, especially with regard to elections in disturbed area, protection of VIPs and vital installations. It also provides security to sensitive temples, shrines of the country. That is Kashi Vishwanath Temple, Krishna Janmabhoomi, Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine. These are under the security cover of the CRPF. Participating in the UN peacekeeping mission, rescue and relief operation during natural calamities, and if there is external aggression by the enemy, there is threat to the country, and there is requirement of putting the CRPF personnel, then they'll be also assigned the duties to fight aggression. CRPF is a force which is headed by Director General of IPS rank in Police Service. So, staff of CRPF, especially at the officer rank, is manned through assistant commandants who come through UPSC as well as IPS officers. Generally, what is happening in the security forces that most of the officers of IG and above rank, that is IG, additional DG, and DG in security forces are from the IPS. There is ratio in the rank of DIG. We do have some reservation for the ex-army officers, that is the brigadiers, who generally retire at the age of 56. They do come to security forces and serve for another 4 years as a DIG, Deputy Inspector General. But in the rank of IG and additional DG, there are percentage based on which IPS are there, and at the rank of additional DG, we do have again percentage defined, and DG is always from the IPS ranks. CRPF has got its one action force you must be hearing as well as seeing on the TV. That is a rapid action force. This rapid action force was established on 11th December 1991 with its headquarters in Delhi, and it came operational in October 1992. It is equipped with specially trained and equipped battalions. They are located at New Delhi, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Bhopal, Aligarh, Meerut, Hyderabad, Jamshedpur, Coimbatore, Allahabad. RAF is commanded by the IGP rank of the officer who is stationed at Delhi. RAF is basically trained in dispersing the crowd with minimum harm and minimum losses, and it comes under Ministry of Home Affairs. It has got the ability to deal with the communal violence as well as terrorist attacks. Its personnel, both male and female, were deployed in United Nations mission in Libya, Monrovia, and peacekeeping mission in 2007-8. RAF had been training police personnel on various riot control techniques also. RAF got the horse-mounted force also, and in order to deal with the riot-like situation in lanes and bylanes, as well as to maintain law and order during religious festivals. RAF is generally deployed. It has got dogs also trained. They can be used in the crowd. And then they have got the unarmed surveillance flying devices, with the help of which they can monitor the situation and they can react quickly. Another duty of the CRPF is that it has got parliamentary group. By parliamentary group, I mean to say that it has got almost 1,500 personnel drawn from the Central Reserve Police Force, which are basically meant to protect the parliament. So you must be remembering that when the parliament also came under the terrorist attacks, or they had entered into the parliament and later on they were neutralized. So now this duty has gone to parliament security to CRPF, and they have got the assault rifles, INSAS, telescopic rifles, sniper rifles, and handheld thermal imagers. Next, CRPF is having Cobra battalions. What do we mean by Cobra? Cobra means Commando Battalion for Resolute Action. Commando Battalion for Resolute Action. CRPF is deploying this battalion in Naxalite-prone areas, and they are trained in the guerrilla warfare as well as search operations and raid operations. They are basically trained with the field engineering. What is field engineering? Field engineering is basically related to the warfare subject, in which we learn about the tactics and we learn about the art of making bunkers and how we can take these bunkers into our own advantage and protect ourselves, thereby getting sufficient chances to kill the terrorists, oblique militants, etc. Then they are trained in the jungle warfare, operation planning, GPS, handling, map reading, alley slithering. Alley slithering means getting down from the hepter on the ground like paratroopers and conducting their operations in the remote areas. This is all about the CRPF, which we have discussed. Now, next force is the Central Industrial Security Force. Central Industrial Security Force was set up by CISF Act in 1968, passed by the Parliament of India. It also comes under Ministry of Home Affairs, and it is headed by Director General, rank officer, who is generally an IPS officer. It is headquartered at New Delhi. CISF is basically providing security cover to nuclear installations, space establishment, airports, seaports, power plants, sensitive government buildings, and our heritage monuments like Taj Mahal. They have more than 300 industrial units, and they are also providing security to Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, besides providing security to VIPs. Almost all the airports of the country are now being provided security by the CSF. In case of Srinagar, there are basically three forces which are covering the airport security. On the outer security, that is the roads which are coming towards the airport, there may be border security force, there may be CRPF or local police. Then you are stopped short of airport, that is approach to airport is now one lane, and again CRPF checks the whole bag and baggage as well as men and material. They are allowed. Now you reach the airport, again CSF will be there, third force, because that area is sensitive. So therefore it has been divided in among the various forces on the perimeter, outer perimeter, and the internal security. Then CSF provides security to Infosys, Reliance Refinery, CB, Mumbai, which is in news these days, Tesco. CSF has got fire wing. It helps in protecting the fire, and it is a central armed police force of the Ministry of Home Affairs. Now we'll be talking about the third force of Central Armed Police Force, that is ITBP, Indo-Tibetan Border Police. It was raised in the wake of China-India attack in 1962 war. It is headed by again DG, Director General of IPS rank. It was enacted as Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force Act in 1992. All these forces are governed by some act which is passed by the parliament. So commonly the personnel of the ITBP are also known as Himveers. You must have been reading in the newspaper as well as watching in the TVs that whenever there are landslides in the areas of Uttarakhand or in the Ladakh or in the Himachal Pradesh of our country, these Himveers come into the picture and they are in the forefront to bring the people out of the misery. Presently, ITBP is guarding duties from Karakoram Pass in Ladakh to Jejpala in Arunachal Pradesh, covering Indo-China border and maintaining border outposts on high altitude in western, middle, and eastern sector of Indo-China border. Border outposts, I mean to say, they are basically just like the police stations. And why we say border outpost? Because it is just bang on the border and it is manned by the personnel of security force. And the strength of the border outpost may vary. It may be a platoon, that is 30 personnel. It may be a company headquarters plus platoon, maybe 45, 50, or it may be a company also. I mean to say minimum 90% along with one assistant commander. So these border outposts react and respond actively to any kind of transgression or any kind of unusual activity which is happening on our borders. ITBP is also a specialized trained force in the mountain. It provides security to the pilgrims in annual Kailash Mansarovar Yatra also. Other major tasks of the ITBP are that they are providing vigil on the northern borders. They are checking illegal immigration, trans-border smuggling and crimes. They are providing rescue and relief operation in mountains such as landslide, earthquakes, snow blizzards, and avalanche. This is all about the ITBP. Third force we will be talking is the Border Security Force. Border Security Force came into existence in 1965. It is basically manning the border of Pakistan, border along with the Pakistan, as well as Indo-Bangladesh border. It is headed by an officer of DG rank and generally an IPS officer. It has headquarters at New Delhi. It has more than 200 battalions and its strength is approximately 2.5 lakhs. It is also known as first wall of defense of the Indian territories. Besides the land troops, we have got the air wing, we have got the marine wing, that is water wing, then we have got artillery regiments. So we have got the tear smoke unit. By tear smoke unit, I mean to say that the smoke bombs which are manufactured in the tear smoke unit for controlling the riots, for controlling the mobs, for controlling the unruly public. The police has to use smoke bombs with the help of smoke guns. So this whole chemical is being manufactured in the tear smoke unit. Then we have got the NTDC, that is National Training Center for Dogs. BSF in the past has actively performed in the Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab and Northeast. So the peacetime duties are basically to provide a sense of security among the population living in the border areas, provide trans-border crimes, unauthorized entry, to prevent trans-border crimes and unauthorized entry or exit from the territory of India, to prevent smuggling and other illegal activities, and to collect trans-border intelligence. Besides that, BSF has got wartime duties. In war, it will work shoulder to shoulder with the army. It will be guarding the VAs and VPs. By VAs and VPs, I means the vital installation areas and vital protection areas. It will be holding the ground also. It can be used as an irregular force against the enemy also. It will be guarding the prisoner of wars. It will be assisting in the control of refugees. And whatever the tasks are being given by army, because during wartime, BSF will be subjected to command of army. So BSF has got a very long border, both on the Punjab, that is the western border, as well as on the eastern border with the Bangladesh. Then we have got 1,640 kilometers of Indo-Myanmar border, which is being guarded by the Assam Rifles. BSF has raised its commando also for tackling various eventualities. So they also come into the picture whenever there is a requirement. Then we have got the QRTs, quick response teams, which are generally available in each of the frontier, and they are asked to perform the assigned task whenever there is requirement. Lastly, now we are dealing with the Sashastra Seema Bal among the Central Armed Police Forces. Sashastra Seema Bal is basically deployed on the Indo-Nepal and Indo-Bhutan border. It was raised in 1963, and basically it has got two wings, that is uniform personals, and then area wing, that is non-uniform or civil personnel. Uniform personals are deployed along the Indo-Nepal and Indo-Bhutan border, which is quite porous, whereas non-uniform persons, civil persons, are given the directions from the FHQ. They are basically there to assess the local population, help them, the local population, and collect the intelligence on the Indo-Bangladesh and Indo-Bhutan border by way of mixing up with the local populace. So SSB has also got headquarters in Delhi, and it has almost more than 50 battalions as on date. Besides that, they promote the security of the people living in the border area, prevention of trans-border crimes, prevention of smuggling and other illegal activities. So far we have discussed about the Central Armed Police Forces, which are basically 5, and they come under the Ministry of Home Affairs. Now, next, we would like to discuss NSG, SPG, and RPF, which are also forces available under the Ministry of Home Affairs. NSG will deal first, that is NSG is the National Security Guards. National Security Guards personnel are drawn from Army as well as Central Armed Police Forces. They are basically known as Cat Commandos, Black Cat Commandos. National Security Guard was raised in 1984 after the operation of Blue Star in 1984. By Operation Blue Star, I mean to say the Sikh militancy, which was on the rise in 1984, and there was General Bhindrawale as well as General Bhag Singh on the side of militants, and they were neutralized along with other militants in the Operation Blue Star. So after this Operation Blue Star in 1984, a requirement was felt to deal with the combatants, militants, and National Security Guard was raised. It has got basically two groups, Special Action Group and Special Ranger Group. Special Action Group basically consists of Army personnel. They come from the Army. Entirely Indian Army personnel are in Special Action Group, and Special Ranger Group consists of the personnel drawn from the Central Armed Police Forces. It is also headed by Director General of Indian Police Service Officer. Primary role of NSG is to combat terrorism and neutralize terrorist threat in specific situation, to provide VVIP and VIP securities during various times, as well as carry out anti-hijacking duties in the international and domestic flights. Previous to Mumbai attack in 26/11, NSG was located in the Manesar, New Delhi. It was centralized, but when it took a lot of time to reach in Mumbai, and its personnel came into effective combat role against the militants who had come from Pakistan, NSG was then placed in various parts of the country so that time taken for them to come in the ground and execute the operation gets shortened. They were then placed in Mumbai, Kolkata, Hyderabad, and Chennai. NSG Commando are instrumental in operation against the 26/11 Mumbai attack, Akshardhan Temple attack, and also in Pathankot Air Base attack of 2016. When the militants who had intruded into our territory from Punjab in Gurdaspur district, Pathankot, they managed to enter into the air base of Pathankot, and their NSG was put into the service lastly to combat with these militant, and 12 members of the NSG were injured in this operation, whereas Lieutenant Colonel Niranjan Singh also lost his life while defusing a booby trap, that is IED, improvised explosive device. So this is all about the National Security Guard. Besides that, they carry out the hostage rescue mission, and they have got specialized training in the explosive and arms. Special Protection Force. Special Protection Force is a force which guards the serving or former prime ministers. Serving prime minister is guarded by the Special Protection Group. This group was formed in 1988 by an act of parliament for providing security to the Prime Minister of India and former Prime Minister of India and members of their immediate families, that is, wife, husband, children, and parents. Members of serving or former prime ministers may decline security. Family members can decline the security also. It came up after the assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi in 1984. A security committee was set up that how she should be guarded, how the Prime Minister of country should be guarded, and SPG came into the existence. This police is generally headed by Additional Director General or Director General from the Indian Police Service, and its personnel are drawn from Central Armed Police Force as well as Railway Protection Force. They are given training on physical efficiency, marksmanship, anti-sabotage check, communication, and aggressive driving, close protection drills, and how to secure the VIP in case of threat. Recently, you must have heard in the TV, heard in the newspaper, as well as must have read in the newspapers that our Prime Minister, when he was on a visit to Firozpur area of Punjab, there was aggressive Kisans, farmers, who had gathered there and blocked the route of the Prime Minister. So SPG had to manage the show, as well as the local police also came into the picture. And these are some of the incidents where SPG comes into the play. There have been 2-3 articles also in the newspaper that what was the role of SPG and how it should guard the security of the Prime Minister. Then we have got the Railway Protection Force. It is about the strength of 65,000 personnel. It is also headed by Director General, and their Director General is from the Indian Police Service rank officer. Their main job is to guard the safety, security, and property of the railways, as well as boost confidence of the travelers who are traveling in the Indian Railways. They are also deployed for election duty from time to time, as well as they can be given other security duties whenever required. Now we'll deal briefly with the Rashtriya Rifle, Assam Rifle, Indian Coastal Guard. The Rashtriya Rifle basically was raised in order to deal with the militants, terrorists in area of Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir. Their personnel are drawn from the Indian Army. 50% of the personnel are from the infantry of the Indian Army, and rest of the personnel are from the rest of the army. So their main job is to tackle with the militants, terrorists, and they are doing good job in Kashmir, as well as they did a good job in Punjab. They are given special allowances for this purpose, and these personnel are on deputation. After doing their duty, they generally go back to the formation from which they have come, and a new personnel are drawn after 3 years. Then Assam Rifle. Assam Rifle is the force which is on the Indo-Myanmar border. It is one of the oldest paramilitary force of India. It was raised by the Britishers in 1835. Its personnel also played role in the World War II. Myanmar was earlier known as Burma. In year 2000, there was a report of group of minister. The report of the group of minister was that one border, one force. That is, one border should be controlled by one force. So therefore, this duty has been given to Assam Rifles on Myanmar border. They play a role in maintaining the internal security in the northeastern region. And they also assist the general public in medical assistance, education, construction activity. In times of war, they can be used as a combat force to deal with the enemy. Lastly, we will be discussing about the Indian Coastal Guard. Indian Coastal Guard is a maritime force which deals with the marine security of our country. It was formed on 18th August 1878 by Coastal Guard Act of 1978. It is the backbone in checking seaborne smuggling of the goods. It is basically now under the Ministry of Defense, and they work in close cooperation with the Indian Navy also. They have got the 5 regions where their personals are deployed. That is the Western region in Mumbai, Eastern in Chennai, Northeastern region in Kolkata, Andaman Nicobar region, and Northwestern region, Gandhinagar. So main task of the Indian Coastal Guard are that they will provide safety and protection to artificial islands. They will provide safety to Indian fishermen who are venturing into the sea, to the Department of Customs in maintaining their security as well as providing them strength during anti-smuggling operation, law enforcement operations in the territorial area, maritime search and rescue operation, as well as national defense during hostilities. Whenever there is hostilities with the enemy, they will come under the Navy and they will work in close cooperation with the Navy. So these are some of the forces which we have discussed in brief in a short time, which were available to us. So now we have the question session for you. You can ask your questions, and I would like to reply according to best of my ability. The first question which has come to us is related to why do we have number of forces for border management? Is it because of geographical differences only? Your one reason is correct, that we have got border security force and then ITBP, Indo-Tibetan border police. Then we have got Assam Rifles, SSB. As you know that the geography of the particular area provides different kind of challenges. If you have to serve in Himalayas, then you should be physically fit, more than the physical fit. You should have the mountaineering abilities, and you should have robust health to deal with the enemy at the high altitudes. You require different kind of training. You require different kind of equipment. Similarly, if you are doing services in the Sundarban area in West Bengal or in Sar Creek area of Gujarat, you require different kind of experience. You must be a good swimmer. You must have diving capabilities. You must be able to do the seaborne operations. Now we have number of forces exactly because of the requirement of the task, the nature of the task, the geography of the area, and one man cannot be fit into the other shoes. Therefore, we have got the different security forces. Second question is why IPS officers, not the officers of respective corps, given leadership role to CRPF. So this is basically the policy of the Government of India, Ministry of Home Affairs. They are of the view that the persons who come in IPS, they have got wide variety of experience. They know how to control the police, and they, because of their large experiences in other organization like CBI, IB, and in the foreign countries, they can be employed in the security forces and they'll be able to control the CRPF also. Third question is overlapping jurisdiction. For instance, along border, Assam Rifle has dual control. Actually, Assam Rifle is basically controlling the Myanmar border. So that border, there is no other force in that border from the Ministry of Home Affairs. I think this question needs little bit amplification. The post of Chief Defense Staff has been created, but more can be done to make this post more effective. CDS post was created in 2020, and General Rawat was made the CDS of the country. So basically, three wings and three armed forces of the country, that is Army, Air Force, and Navy, they require a close cooperation and some strategic decisions which are required to be taken in terms of weaponry, manpower, training, and how they will work closely in close combat in association was the requirement that we had the post of CDS. Similarly, now we have given the post of NMDC, National Maritime Defense Coordinator. Recently, this post has been created in the coastal security, and this man will be also working as a security advisor on marine subjects to the NSA. Okay, your question is how BSF is controlling the border drug menace in Punjab. Basically, BSF is covering 550 kilometers of border in the Punjab, starting from border pillar number 1, which starts from the northern end of Punjab in Pathankot. And they, besides having manpower on the ground, various battalions, I won't specifically name how many battalions are there because of the security reasons. There are a number of battalions in the Punjab frontier which are on the ground and they are dealing with this menace. We have got the handheld thermal imagers. Then we have got the laser walls. We have border security fencing. We have got floodlights on the border. And land route of the smugglers is completely checked. But these days there is a menace of drone. So drone, so far we are combating with methods like shooting the drone, and sometimes our troops are unable to come to know about the drone. They reach in the rear areas and the police is also active in those areas, and later on they are attacked. Next question is Government of India, conflict between Government of India and state government on increasing the territorial jurisdiction in the BSF. Earlier, the territorial jurisdiction in whole parts of the India, that is Punjab, Assam, Bengal, Tripura, was different. Somewhere it was 15 kilometer, somewhere it was 80 kilometer, and somewhere it was 50 kilometer. Say in the state of Gujarat, it was 80 kilometer. So now they have given a clear-cut direction of 50 kilometers for all. By this action, Government of India has given a power to the Border Security Force to carry out the operation in the hinterland. So there was conflict in the newspaper about the authority, dual authority of the police as well as BSF. Basically, all these security forces are there to do their primary action. By primary action, I mean to say they will go and carry out a raid at particular hideout, search. If there is firefight, they will fight with the militants or terrorists. And whatever the men and material after the operations are caught, they are given to the police. So everything in terms of arms and ammunition and dead bodies are handed over to the police. And FIR, first information report, is also lodged with the police. So then local police comes into the picture. Even before going for an operation in the hinterland, we do take the assistance of local police. So they are also involved with us, and the operation becomes a joint operation. So if there is some kind of dispute in the jurisdiction, it is because of the perception of the politicians. National security is important, and there may be different kind of perceptions among the politicians of Punjab, among the politicians of the Bengal, but national security is supreme. So therefore, I think this issue will die down with the passage of time. Similarly, if in the operation we catch heroin, that is given to the Narcotics Control Bureau, and if we catch gold or silver, that is handed over to the customs. So therefore, there are different agencies of dealing with the seized good and dealing with the, even if we catch, say, injured militants or apprehend the militants, ultimately within 24 hours, they are handed over to the local police, and the local police goes for their questioning, and further they are produced in the court of law. Last question, I think this is the last question. Question is, Assam Rifle is administratively controlled by MHA and operationally controlled by Ministry of Defense. How does this affect the security of the border? As far as the security of the border is concerned, there is not much of the effect, because security is generally by the troops of the lower level. That is, troops from the rank of deputy commandant, assistant commandant. They are generally on the border for effectively guarding the border. Whereas senior officers of the rank of commandant, DIG, IG, and DG are there as supervisory officers. So if it is under the two ministries, definitely there will be problem in the reporting. Problem is what is reported to whom. After the operations, first of all, the report will go to the Defense Ministry if they are under Ministry of Defense for operations. And secondly, report will go to MHG. So therefore, this may be some kind of problem. Ultimately, as far as the security is concerned, there is no problem. Yes, for this working of intelligence agencies, we will have a separate time. I have kept this in my mind. We will deal with all intelligence agencies in a separate topic, and we'll have separate session specifically dedicated to intelligence agencies of the countries and how do they operate. And this is insurgency. Insurgency itself is a big subject. First of all, We would like to have basic concepts of the insurgency and short-term results. If we need, we must have combat action teams placed at specific places, and we should have geared up intelligence system. Therefore, whenever we get specific intelligence, we should go for the operations. Yes, your question is right. I had also read the article. Uh, Basically, now government of India, or you can say political authority of the country, they don't want to bring reforms in the police. As you know, basically police is subservient to the political authority, and as long as the interest of both police as well as politicians are being served to their advantage, they will not like to take much of the reforms. So now Supreme Court has said that it is for the citizens of the country to come up, as they could convey their message in the farmer strike, which went on for almost more than 1 year in our country, and ultimately these three bills were dissolved. So therefore, Supreme Court has given a view that it is for the public to press for the reforms in the police. Otherwise, politicians are not much interested in it. Yes, your question is good. How to handle situation-based questions like handling riot, restoring peace and harmony. Basically, you are civil servant, and they will be judging your acumen as a responsible deputy commissioner or responsible superintendent of police. Because the IPS officer, they become SP in 6 to 7 years, and they become DC also in 6 years, 5 to 6 years. So your questions will be of like this: how to handle the riots, how to restore peace and harmony in affected areas. So first of all, let us talk about the role of the deputy commissioner. The role of the deputy commissioner in such cases would be to deploy the maximum forces. That is the local police available to us. He should call for the assistance of the Central Armed Police Force. He should talk directly to the Director General of the force. Say you are the Superintendent Police in, say, Gujarat, and the riots are happening in Ahmedabad area or Gandhinagar area somewhere. You should talk to your DG and ask for the strength. You will get sufficient strength by means of CRPF or BSF. You will have 4 or 5 additional companies. They can be put up in the required area wherever you want to restore the peace and harmony. They can conduct flag marches. Moreover, the personals who are responsible for conducting these riots, you should immediately, with the help of local intelligence agencies, make a list of them and try to nab them. Thirdly, the religious leaders are generally involved in this case. All the religious leaders may be of various hues, that is, maybe Sikhs, or maybe Muslims, maybe Hindus, maybe Christian. They should be called, and a conference should be held with them that, look, you are the messengers of the peace, and we want peace and harmony in our society, and help us in this hour of need, and try to communicate message through your namaz, through your das, through your artis, that all should live in peace and harmony. Moreover, the politicians who are involved in this game, they should be also nabbed, and they should be um, controlled. In fact, if any of the political leader has got say over the particular community, then they should be also taken into the confidence, and they can talk to the group of member of the public. Moreover, you should deploy maximum surveillance in the such area. You can have drones in these areas so that they carry out the coordinated photography of that area, and you will come to know after having seen these photographs that who are the antisocial element who are trying to disturb the peace of the area, and they can be nabbed. and therefore you can bring down the situation under control.